Hey, what is up, my YouTubian subscribers? Boy, it's been a hot minute. Now, what am I here to talk about? Mostly, I'm going to talk about the RWBY Volume 8 finale and my plans moving forward because I've actually fell back in love with the series after Volume 6 and Volume five's issues. Let's start with a brief history of my experience with RWBY, though, because I need you to understand where I'm coming from so that hopefully moving forward with Volume 9, I can reset and regroup after Volume five's travesty. Basically, I remember the exact episode. I started watching RWBY Chapter 2 of Volume 3, The New Challengers. I had listened to an AMV, an animated video about Naruto with Iburn in the background. It was probably a Nine-Tailed Fox video in retrospect. Like, just thinking about it, I don't remember the exact AMV, but it was probably a Nine-Tailed Fox Naruto video with Iburn in the background. So I googled the song because I liked the song, and I learned it came from a show called RWBY. So I started watching the show. I plowed through volume one, thought it was okay. It was a good introduction. The bully arc, obviously, there were some issues fairly early on. The bully arc, for one, was. I love Jean. Jean's one of my favorite characters, but that was probably a low moment for his character. Like, in that saying something. So, the bully arc, yeah. Volume 2, I thought that outside of writing Juniper out of the show, which I felt was done strictly, especially with how I know Rooster Teeth are now, especially in Volume 6, and I'll talk about that when I reach Volume 6. But I felt like that's the first time Rooster Teeth had really gotten involved and politicked Monty Ohm's story. I think he had planned Juniper to be the deuteragonist to Team RWBY's protagonists. And so it really hurts later volumes that Juniper wasn't involved with the Torchwick plotline at all. Like, they should have gotten involved in Volume 2 with the Torchwick plotline, which would lead them into the Cinder plotline, which would lead them into Volume 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, when focus from Torchwick was shifted to focus on Cinder. So, yeah, issues with Volume 2. That being said, it was a good volume. Animation aside, there was some funky stuff with, like, Cinder on the roof. But it was okay. It wasn't the greatest thing ever told. It wasn't the best animated show. It didn't have the best voice acting. It was just kind of interesting and fun, so I kept watching it. Moving forward with RWBY Volume 3, this is where I got into the show and was watching it concurrently, and I've watched it pretty concurrently. I think I'm watching it concurrently, essentially. I watch it as soon as it gets uploaded. Volume 9, I am gonna be supporting Rooster Teeth again with Rooster Teeth First membership. I'm gonna be honest. After Volume 6, I've been illegally streaming the episodes because I didn't want to support them. They didn't earn my money, they didn't earn my trust, and this is coming from someone who had I can tell you that I was gonna buy the John Pumpkin Pete hoodie, and I live in Canada, if you can't tell by my accent, so it was like $80. I was gonna buy it. I liked it that much. So I was a first member from Volume 3 to Volume 6. Then 7 and 8, I said, no, you guys don't earn my money, so I'm gonna illegally stream it. Back to Volume 3. It's an invert of generally what Rooster Teeth has done with RWBY. Slow start, okay middle, really, really good ending. And I'll talk about this, but Penny and Pierre's death in this volume was probably the best character death in RWBY history, bar none. And I'll talk about Penny's death, her second death later on, because I have issues with that. That being said, let's move on. Volume 4. Slow, meandering. Should have focused on Yang and Weiss, really. And then with Blake getting a background. That being said, they messed up. Blake, Princess Menagerie, there's issues there. It makes her look like a hypocrite moving later on in the series. But other than that, it was a good show. I still enjoyed it. One of the best fights that Rooster Teeth has done since Monty Ohm died, and it still holds up to this day as being one of the best fight scenes period with Team Ranger and Tyrion, and Crow. That was a really well done fight scene. Moving on, Volume 5. This is where the issue started to show. Volume 5 started really good and I enjoyed it. You can go back, watch those old reviews. They kind of suck, to be honest, but I thought they were good. Or I thought the volume was decent. We get to Raven and the Bronwyn camp. The show jumps the shark. And then the maiden lore, one of the most key fundamental things about RWBY right now is the maidens, and Raven destroyed them. Don't get me wrong, Penny took them out to the to the shed and shot the maidens in the head, but yeah, Raven kneecapped them and yeah. So I was mad going into Volume 6. I don't think I gave Volume 6 the credit it deserved because I was so mad at Volume 5. I temporarily dropped the show, or not even really. I think 1 week I let it go where it goes, and I watched 2 episodes in a row after that, and then I started keeping up. Main issue with Volume 6 is it feels like it was a response to fan criticisms of Volume 5. It felt like they were reading forums, it felt like they were reading fan fiction, and we're like, okay, Ozma's a bad guy, or at least he's sketchy as all get out. Salem gets a backstory. Neo's coming back because people wanted Neo back. Cinder survived. Even though they don't ever explain how Cinder frickin' survived, because even by the standards of RWBY, she should be dead. Again, not gonna harp on it. I could rant about minor issues with Volume 6 till the cows come home. It happened. It was okay. It wasn't bad. Argus, definitely, it falls into the classic RWBY good beginning, rough middle, bad ending. So Argus, with how stupid Cordovan was, and the giant mountain mech, and Tweedledee and Tweedledum, there were just a lot of issues with Argus. Volume 7. First, they were really good. The show was gorgeous. The voice acting had picked up. Penny, them not hiding the fact that Penny was alive was good, and the fact that she's I believe Penny's brought in episode 1 or episode 2 of Volume 7, and yeah, it was just good until they started to wholesale steal from Volume 3. Pretty much everything in the second half of Volume 7 was taken from Volume 3, just inverted to give the good guys a win. And when I say a win, I mean now with the benefit of hindsight, we know that they don't actually get the win. Salem comes in at the end of Volume 7, and yeah. But the point is that they, at the time we're watching it, I was like, oh, all they're doing is Volume 3, but inverting the outcome so that the good guys win. Wasn't a fan of it. Now I'm gonna talk about Penny for a minute here. Making Penny the maiden, it damaged the maiden lore again because Rooster Teeth went out of their way to make it clear that Penny didn't have her own aura. They made it very clear that Penny was being powered by Pietro's aura, and there are a lot of things, like the fact that when the Goliath Grim hits her, there's no classical flash of green aura that we get from every other character who gets hit and has their aura shattered. A power switch on her chest literally flickers on and off. Like there are a lot of things in that volume that made it clear Penny was just a machine, and a machine being powered by a male aura running a female AI. And so when she became a maiden, I was like, oh, okay, so pretty much the 2 rules that were established in Volume 3 are out the window now. Now literally anyone and anything can become a maiden. That being said, again, I'm not the biggest fan of the maidens. I don't like the fact that, again, I'll talk about this more when Penny dies, because I feel like it affects Winter and the Winter Maiden moving forward in particular. But yeah, I don't like the fact that the maidens are over glorified keys. Move forward. Volume 8. There are so few complaints I have about Volume 8. I think it's the strongest volume of RWBY in the history of the show, bar none. Like, and that's, I'm pretty negative as a person, so that's saying a lot. I thought the Hound reacting to Penny and not going after her, issues. But that's really it. I mean, yeah, you can't really, like, there isn't very much to complain about. I mean, from chapter 1 to chapter 12, is really, really good. I thought it was fun. I thought the action was good. Bringing down Ironwood was awesome. John had one of the strongest volumes his character has ever had, and now again with the retrospect of knowing he's gonna kill Penny, you can understand that they kind of had to give Jean a good volume, or him executing Penny would have looked bad if he was just a goofy boy still. So they made him a really strong leader. They really increased his combat ability. So it was good volume. John's one of my favorite characters. Him and Ruby are probably two of the only reasons I have left watching this show, um, except for the finale. Now I'm gonna do quick. I was not, like I said, not the biggest fan of Penny as the maiden. I thought it kind of hurt the maiden lore a bit, but I was getting used to it. They uh, narratively speaking, okay, I'm gonna just spoil volume 8, chapter 14 for you guys. Penny gets killed. Basically, when Weiss, Jean, and Penny are fighting off Cinderfall. Cinderfall uses her grim arm, stabs Penny in the chest. Penny dies. She's dying, and John tries to heal her, but she says there's not enough time. You need to kill me, and I'll transfer the maiden powers. Jean does it. Strength of character. To quote Thanos, I know it's the strongest wills, the strongest choices, or the hardest choices require the strongest wills. So it was a really solid showing of Jean's strength of character, and it was a really strong showing of Penny's strength of character to be able to make those hard choices at that point. So I'm not bashing her death. The meeting with Winter in the white space was fine. It was well executed. Her calling back to Freya and how Penny felt bad about Freya dying was good. That was awesome. I loved it. My main issue stems from the fact that Penny, realistically, it was a shock value kill. It didn't serve the same purpose as Pyrrha and Penny's death in Volume 3. Pyrrha and Penny dying in Volume 3, Penny was the end of innocence, and Pyrrha was moving Ruby into a darker era of the show. Penny being killed here, when it's meaningless essentially. She already served her. First off, narratively speaking, Penny was done. Anyone who wanted to talk about Penny moving into volume 9, 10, 11, 12, she would have just been a big gun moving forward, which is essentially what Winter is now. Because the maiden is a overglorified key. It's a plot device. It serves zero purpose. Once the relic is out of the vault, the maiden serves no purpose moving forward. So Penny, and again, Penny, meta narratively wise, Penny's story is about her becoming a real person or a real girl. It started with her statement of, Ruby, I'm not a real girl. It was proven that she is a real person. She is a real girl by her becoming a maiden in Volume 7, and then made literally true by Team RWBY making her a human body in Volume 8. So, narratively speaking, her story was done. There was, like, I understand. So, she's a character you can kill without affecting the narrative moving forward, but it serves no purpose. Like I said, now Winter gets the Winter Maiden powers, but there's no. Winter says it herself. Penny was always the true maiden, and Penny did everything a maiden would do in Volume 7 and Volume 8. She she got the relic out of the vault. She protected the maiden powers. She did it. She didn't deserve to die in that moment, to be honest. Like I said, it's at the end of the day, it's the one thing that bugs me is it's a shock value kill, and I'm not the biggest fan of those. I'm for killing if it means something. Ned Stark, the death of an honorable man, showed that honor in the Game of Thrones universe is something that will get you killed, and every one of his kids except for maybe John become. And again, to be real, you gotta ignore. You gotta, the plot armor of those last few seasons of Game of Thrones, you gotta ignore, because John, realistically, John should have become less honorable. All of the other Stark kids did, and they all changed. That being said, yeah, this death is meaningless. Jean Arc didn't need another person on his conscience. He lost Pyrrha. He was getting over Pyrrha. Now he executes Penny, and they're probably gonna go back to angsty John arc, moving into Volume 9. Yeah, it was a disappointment to me. It was a decent. Other than that, it was decent. I mean, it was a little bit contrived. Like Yang falling off the bridge, she should have just punched Neo, or she should have. I mean, glyphs, black glyph, platform glyph, summoning, Blake's clones. RWBY can literally fly with her rose petal form now. Like there were so many ways to stop Yang from falling, and they all just slowly. It was like, it was what it was. It started when Yang fell, and they. I don't know. I didn't like it. At the end of the day, it was enjoyable. Like it was fun, and the death was really well written. Penny deserved better at that point. Penny didn't need to die for the plot to move forward, and that's probably the biggest issue I have with the Volume 8 finale. So yeah. Anyways, moving forward, I think I'm gonna go back to weekly reviews for RWBY. In a couple months, when the next volume drops, I'm gonna go back to weekly reviews. I enjoyed volume 7 and 8 to such an extent that I'm gonna support Rooster Teeth again. I think they earned my trust again, and mad props to the writers of the show. Yeah, there are some issues. You can nitpick the shit out of any show you want to watch, but I'm starting to reaffirm my love for RWBY again. Yeah, again, Volume 8's ending was an issue to me, but it wasn't a jump the shark moment. It was just, I would do it differently moment. And I'm not the writers of the show. It's their show, so hopefully they prove me wrong. Hopefully Penny's death eventually means something, narratively speaking. Anyways, like, comment down below, subscribe, Securge, signing off.